Joseph Robinette Biden, that jankro of an American president. Well, he addressed the United Nations General Assembly today, and on the topic, most on the tip of his tongue, had everything to do with Ukraine and criticizing Russian President Vladimir Putin. So the American news cycle has picked up, allegedly, that Russia is trying to do a, quote, partial mobilization, right, of its troops, whatever the fuck that means. 300,000 reservists. I don't even know what the reports I've read indicate that Russia doesn't per se have a reserve army, but they're trying to call up old veterans, I suppose, give them a quick little 2-week training and drop them off in Ukraine to get the fighting. But the first thing I want us to just be clear about, number one, we have to be extremely skeptical and dubious of any news about Russia that comes out of the American news cycle. Because why? Because the American media apparatus that definitely works as an extension of the U.S. State Department won't hesitate to dispense massive amounts of propaganda. And I know Americans think that we are not propagandized. No. That's the Chinese and the Russians. No. Our media tells us the truth. How could we be propagandized? The American government doesn't lie to its people. Hopefully we all growner than that, right? So the word is that Putin has made nuclear threats to Europe. Okay. Does that make any sense to y'all? Does that make any goddamn sense to you? And everyone wants to frame Putin as perhaps being crazy. Well, I don't. He's rich, okay? Why would Vladimir Putin want to blow up the world when it's such a comfortable place for him? Let's be fucking for real here. But let's listen to y'all boy, Joseph Robinette Biden, stand up in front of the United Nations General Assembly. Time out. Where is the ghost of Hugo Chavez when we need him? Do you guys remember that time Hugo Chavez spoke after George W. Bush at the UNGA, and he talked about how it smelled like sulfur because the devil had been here the day before? Where is our 2022 Hugo? Where is he or she? Would love to hear from them. But in the meantime, let's hear from Joseph Biden. Finger wag, beat his chest about all the support that America has given to Ukraine. And when he drops that dollar amount, everybody, I want you to pay special close attention to it and put it in the context of all the news that you have seen covered on this channel regarding water contamination, infrastructure failures, and a myriad of things happening right here in Los Estados Unidos. But Joe Biden has to prop up Ukraine. Let's take a look.
141 nations in the General Assembly came together and to unequivocally condemn Russia's war against Ukraine. The United States has marshaled massive levels of security assistance and humanitarian aid and direct economic support for Ukraine. More than $25 billion to date. Our allies and partners around the world have stepped up as well. And today, more than 40 countries represented in here have contributed billions of their own money.
Now, gang, a normal person would be embarrassed. A regular person, a human, actually, might find a smidge of embarrassment in boldly proclaiming to the world that America has given, not loaned, given $25 billion to Ukraine. And we have water systems failing all across this country, right? We have people in the mountains and down in the southwest of our country suffering from the worst drought in centuries. California's on fire, experiencing unseasonable heat waves. And I know he can't do anything about that, but you know what he can do something about? That Jackson water crisis, the latest one that will cost $2 billion to fix. And yet there's money right there for Ukraine, $25 billion. How long has this Ukrainian war been fought? 6, 7, 8 months, somewhere in there. Wow. Isn't that amazing? The ways in which America can come up with the money to support the priorities for which it truly believes in. And that is war. And that is war. That is America's greatest export to the globe. And it is war, right? So included in that 25 billion, we already know that an overwhelming majority of that was weaponry, javelins, whatever the fuck else they need to kill people. That is a huge chunk of it. But don't forget, there were cash payments in there to Ukrainians. Joe Biden boasted about making sure that Ukraine citizens had their pensions paid. Pensions to other people in Europe. The audacity of hoes. $25 billion to Ukraine, and Puerto Rico is underwater. I think I saw that there had been some service restored to the island, but we're still talking about over 1 million people on the island without access to power, internet, and a big chunk of those folks also do not have access to safe drinking water. Okay. And it's so funny to me that we're seeing these water crises happen simultaneously, right? All at the same time. And it's just, it must be ironic. It must be the luck of the draw that most of these communities affected with this poor quality of water or crumbling infrastructure around the water, and in Puerto Rico's case, the power, these places are mostly non-white. You think that's an accident? You think that's a mistake? You think that it's just the luck of the draw that Joe Biden found $25 billion to send to Ukraine, and Jackson can't get $2 billion to get its water treatment facility upgraded, to get their pipes replaced? This is intentional. And this is this sort of, I mean, it's not subtle to me, but sometimes it can appear subtle to others. But this is the kind of racism that Democrats are just outstanding at, right? Because they will look across the globe and see, don't let no Europeans be in trouble. don't let the Serbians and the Bosnians be in trouble. Don't let Ukraine be in trouble, because we will find a way. We will find a way. Or don't let one of these brown or black countries try to get, quote unquote, too big for their britches and try to develop their own energy systems, like Iran trying to develop, I believe, nuclear power. But I don't even give a damn if they're trying to build a nuclear weapon, because guess who else has a nuclear weapon in the Middle East, huh? And they ain't supposed to have one, huh? Y'all know their name. I'm not going to even say it, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So $2 billion for Jackson is there, but it is intentionally not being given. And why is it not being given? Because America is a place that does not care if non-white people do not survive. If non-white people do not have access to basic things like healthcare, which I know everybody does not have access to healthcare, but you all know that those health disparities and access to healthcare are far worse for Black and Indigenous folks and Latinx folks as well. So this is the sort of bullshit racism that the Democrats be on. And this is where they and the GOP are very much in unison. These are both pro-military parties, pro-police parties. They are not pro-people parties. They are not pro-human life. They are not pro making sure that everyone that lives here has access to the things that they need to survive. No, they would rather make sure that Raytheon, BAE, Boeing, they have to make sure that those CEOs and those executives have to find a way to survive off 7- and 8-figure salaries and bonuses for all of the weaponry that they have been able to sell the United States, which has in turn given to the Ukrainians, right? I do not like it here. I do not like it here. Oh, and I'm just very curious, I'm just curious, at one point, is the American public going to have a collective aha moment, a collective light bulb go off when they finally figure out who Zelensky is, what he represents, and the ideologies behind many of the military adventures in Ukraine? The mainstream American press does not want to mention that these folks are Nazis. and I don't understand. That seems very germane to the conversation, but it fucks up the narrative, right? Putin is the big enemy. It is more important to defeat Putin at all cost. If we have to prop up the Nazis to the tune of $25 billion in the course of 8 months, so be it. If Black people in Mississippi and Puerto Ricans and Black folks in New York at the Joseph Reed's homes, if them people have to die and get sick because the infrastructure is piss poor and has intentionally not been maintained, hey, got to be Putin, man, by any means necessary, right? And here's the thing, but the gag is, because America refuses to take care of its own, because America cannot provide the very bare minimum for its residents, bitch, Russia won. Russia has won. Game over. Russia won. That's it. That's the tweet. That's the post. You can post that right there. If America can't provide clean drinking water to every single person that lives here, Russia has won. Way to go. Way to go, Joe.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.